Hey, Captain. Welcome to Captain Finance, where I share my personal financial journey with the hope that I inspire you to take charge of yours. So, in this video, we'll look at what stage two means. But first, let's look at this. Mistakes make you smarter. So, do not be afraid to make mistakes financially. You will learn a lot faster, especially if you have skin in the game, meaning money in whatever you're investing in or thinking about. So, in this video, I will look at a brief look at my financial journey so far. In previous videos, I've shared all the stages that I've been through up to now. And we'll also look at what is more important than investing returns. It will actually shock you. And mistakes I have made and lessons I have learned. So in this journey, there are a lot of mistakes and there are a lot of lessons. So first, let's look at the stages that I've gone through. This, if you haven't watched my previous video, is a breakdown of the 7 steps to financial independence. The idea is you can move from broke, desperate to financial abundance where you can buy all the things that you want and spoil your loved ones like you want in a single step. So there has to be stages that you need to go through. And it is easier if you know what those stages are, so that you can create a mental model for you to walk through and figure out, okay, my income minus my expenses is a negative number, so I must be in stage 0, where financial dependence. I need to get into debt to meet my obligations or not pay them at all. So my journey started at stage 0, and my income minus my expenses was a negative number. And again, this is a very scary situation where you have creditors and landlords and probably even friends that you borrowed from that are always on your neck, and you're not able to pay them on time, not because you don't want to, but just because honestly you cannot. So what I did to get out of this stage was quickly increase my income by creating a side hustle. At the time, I couldn't make more money from my salary. So I decided to start a side hustle that at least got me to stage 1. So stage 1 is where your income minus your expenses is a 0 number or slightly positive. The idea is that you can handle all your expenses, all your everything related to your living expenses. You are the one that can pay for them without any external help. Now, getting to this stage allows you to breathe. At stage 0, breathing is not an option because whatever you're making is a lot less than what you need to survive. So you have no time to even think. At stage 1, you can think. And one of the things that I did at stage 1 to increase my savings rate is reduce my overall living expenses. So my rent, I cut it by half. It wasn't a fun experience, but it's something that I had to do in order to achieve the goals that I have financially. So I completed both stages 100%. Now I am on stage 2, financial stability. So what stage 2 requires is your income minus your expenses is a positive number, and you're consistently saving. You're saving an emergency fund or a rainy day fund or a peace of mind fund, whatever you want to call it. And you decide, is it 1 month, 2 months, or even 6 months? In my case, I started with 1 to 3 months, but I realized the nature of my job is that my employer can wake up and in 30 days, I do not have a source of income. So I needed a longer runway, and I chose 6 months. So in stage 2, I am about 66.44% done with this stage, meaning I will get to 100% and I will have covered 6 months of my expenses put in a unit trust. Now, I treat unit trust not as an investment, but as an interest-bearing account. And its job with that interest is to fight inflation. I am not trying to make supernormal returns for my unit trust. Unit trust, money market fund, same thing. Now, stage 3 is debt freedom. I have high interest debt, meaning I have debt from a bank that I pay upwards of 10%. And my goal is to reduce this debt as soon as possible. So I'm 37.04% into completing this particular goal. And among the things that I have done I didn't state it here, is on top of reducing my expenses, I also focused on increasing my income. This is income from my side hustle and income from my job. Now that we're in stage 3, stage 4, financial security is one of the most important part. It breaks down further than just putting 6 to 12 months of your living expenses aside. But since we're in the first 4 stages, let's just look at it as a simple goal of getting to 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. So I'm 33.22% in, and my goal is to complete this within the next year. So 2022, God willing, I should be done with this particular goal, and then break down stage 4 even further. Now, there's something I wanted to focus on, and it is what is more important than your investment return. The financial industry focuses on telling us we should look for an 8% return, 10% return, 20% return, 50%. Okay, I haven't heard of 50%, but the crypto market is offering you 50, 100, 80,000% return. And people are aping into this returns without thinking through, do I really need this level of return? And based on the stage that I presently am in. So my case, I have a 41% savings rate. What this means is for every 100 shillings that enters my house, 41 bob goes into savings, no matter what. And I live on the 59% that is left. Why would I do this? I want to break it down using Mad Scientist's website. Just give me. So here we are on the Mad Scientist website. Now, the purpose of this video section is specifically to show you the power of your savings rate. Our industry, our financial industry, tells us to save 10% of our income, and let's assume an 8% growth rate. Now, what is our withdrawal rate? Let me just go to fool.com, and they break it down. So the 4% rule is a common rule of thumb in retirement planning to help you avoid running out of money in retirement. It states that you can comfortably withdraw 4% of your savings in your first year of retirement and adjust that amount for inflation every subsequent year without risking running out of money for the first 30 years. Now, they also state that it sounds great in theory and it may work for some in practice, but like most things in personal finance, it is user specific. So you need to figure out, is the 4% rule what you will apply, or is the 3% rule, or is the 5% rule? So you don't want to, at the end of your life, you don't want to remain with more money than you plan for, and you don't want to have less money than you plan for. So when you're figuring out your personal finances, your number will be specific to you. But in this case, let's just use the 4% rule to make the math easier. So we withdraw 4%. Now, just the typical advice that we're given in our financial industry tells us that it will take us 38 years to achieve financial independence. For example, if you earn, or rather, if you spend 100,000 shillings right now, your financial independence number is closer to 30 million. Let's go to this Playing with Fire website just to calculate it. So Fire retirement calculator, watch your retirement age decrease as you increase your savings rate to illustrate the power of your savings rate and the real possibility of early retirement. Let's say my age, which is 34. Your annual income, if you're 100,000, it's 1.2 meter. And if your savings rate is 10%, then that means your expenses are about 1080123. Did I do that? Okay. Current net worth 0. Asset allocation. So the financial industry tells you to, when you're younger, invest into riskier assets. As you grow older, invest in less risky assets. I tell you, it doesn't matter. but that's a debate we can have. Let's assume an 8% growth rate in both of them just to make it easy. And money market, let's say, also gives you 8% to give you an overall savings. Oh, wait. Overall return of about 8%. Okay. So we save about 120,000 shillings a month. We have an average return of 8%, and it'll take us up to 2059, 38 years from now, when I'm 72, to achieve financial independence. How much money will that be? It will be about 27 million shillings. And the idea is, if you have a bond that cash flows, let's even say 12%, I would be making about the equivalent of 270,000 per month. And 100 of that goes to my expenses, and 170 goes towards savings to beat inflation. That number sounds good, but just realize that we've said this is 38 years from now. If you even look in the early 2000s, inflation has, in my view, if you bought a house, say in Langata for about 3 million, the same house is going for 18 million. So you can say, just taking that number, inflation has gone up by about 6 times. So that means in 38 years, I won't need, say, 30 million. I will need 180 million just to have the exact same lifestyle that I presently presented in this video. So back to this website. If you increase your savings rate, I've said my savings rate is about 41%. That means it will take me about 17 years to achieve my financial independence number. Now, if you watched any of my videos, I started tracking my financial independence journey or financial freedom journey in 2017, August. My goal was to give myself 10 years to achieve this number. I am 4 years into my savings, or rather into my financial independence journey. So that means I still need to increase my savings rate closer to 80%. Now, if my journey was to take 10 years, I have about 6 years left. I will need to increase my savings rate to close to 80%. Now, if I'm to do that, the only thing that I would need to do is maintain my expenses as is and increase my income, because your savings rate doesn't go up once you hit a certain amount of savings. Something I experienced myself. When I was saving 1%, it was easy. 2%, it was easy. When I got to 8%, I started realizing, no, I'm straining myself and I need to increase how much money I bring into the house. So that's what I focused on. So you'll notice that if you're on this journey, you will start with a typical 1% in your first month. Then the next month, you go 2%, 3%, and on and on and on, until you get to a point where you, with the present income, you're straining to save, and then you need to figure out what the next obvious step will be for you. For me, it was to make more money. So let's look at some of the mistakes I made with my own personal finances. In the early days, I was chasing crazy returns. I'm not sure if you've heard of BitConnect, but it was a scam towards the end of actually began mid 2017 and died early 2018. But they were giving 1% return per day in Bitcoin. And at the time, since I hadn't educated myself about cryptocurrencies well enough, I was chasing that and even created an Excel that showed how I'm going to achieve financial independence in 3 years just based on the compounding effect. Made a lot of sense, but I did not do enough research to figure out, is this sustainable? And I did not get too hurt in it, but I did lose money in it. My initial investment came back, but the gains that I have made, zilikunywa maji. Next, feelings of shame and hiding it. Now, I don't know if you experienced this, but I experienced this a lot. I did not know for a very long time what to do with my finances. And also, I was very ashamed to ask. The idea is, majority of us are meant to know. You're in your 30s, you're meant to know how your money works. You're meant to know how to look at your income and look at your expenses and figure out how to save and figure out how to invest. You're supposed to know. But the idea is we were never taught. No one sat us down, for majority of us, no one sat us down and told us, this is what you do with your money, this is what you don't do with your money. And not only did those people tell us that, but they themselves are living the life that they're advising us to live. So majority of the people that talk to you about money are probably broke. And we listen to them because they're older or they're friends or they're people we respect, but we never examine how their lives are. Is the person telling you to buy a new car, struggling to pay fuel for his car? You get, that's essentially what I'm saying. And then the final one is pressuring myself too much, feeling that I am late to achieve certain goals. Again, I've said in my mid-30s, if I look around, a good number of my friends have bought houses, bought cars, bought land, all those things. And in society, these are measures of progress. So for a very long time, I looked at myself as I am failing. And that doesn't really go well in terms of you achieving your financial goals. The realization that we're all on our own path and each of us will get to our destinations at a set time. Either we decide it or our choices decide them for us. But all of us are on different paths. And you have the ability, you have the control and the skill to determine your own path. Until I realized that for myself, I felt a lot of pressure to either match or surpass the people around me. But now that I realized I can create my own path, I can create my own timeline, I'm able to say, fine, I want to achieve financial independence in 10 years. I started in 2017. I hope to achieve it by or before 2027. So that's even what you're seeing in these videos. I record my financial journey. And now for you, I'm hoping this video I've created sort of an urgency for you to figure out what is your present savings rate. If it's zero, it is okay. Can you apply the 1% rule that each month you increase your savings rate by 1% until you get to a point where in your present income, you feel strained, and then start figuring out with the skills that I know, with what I know, with who I know, with what I enjoy doing with my time, how can I monetize it? How can I make money from it? And then the final question is, what is your savings rate? Tell me in the comments below. Let's encourage each other. Until I see you on the next one, have a great one.